Yeah, no, every time I get in front of a camera, it's super awkward. But hey, good to see you again. Welcome back to the channel. This one is a very different video, just like the last one I've uploaded. But in this one, it's gonna be just me ranting a little bit about the current state of the whole tutoring industry and the teaching world, and kind of just entrepreneurs in general, especially young entrepreneurs. Like I'm talking people who are under the age of like 25, including myself. I'm under the age of 25 right now, and how difficult it is to actually find a good teacher these days. Um, so before we begin, let's just kind of outline what this is going to be between me and you. This isn't meant to be a video that provides you a ridiculous amount of value. This is kind of just so you get to know a little bit more about me as a human being, how I think. This isn't going to be a regular thing on the channel. This isn't meant for everybody. This is meant for like the very few amount of people that are like very, yeah, this is meant for the few people that actually like watching the videos and hearing me talk about random things for a little bit of time, which I know there's a few of you out there. So you can play this in the back while you're doing your dishes and things, and hopefully get something out of it about how I think and things like that. But yeah, we'll just kind of go over my overall thoughts on the tutoring game, and the tutoring industry as a whole, and how it's evolved in the last couple of years. So I've been in this game for 5 years now, and it's been a very interesting one. It's been a very interesting game to play, and with the modern day of the internet, it's become very obvious that almost anyone can run a tutoring business, and you don't really need to have any other qualifications than, oh, I got into medicine, or oh, I'm doing X and Y degrees, or oh, I got this study score, and then that's kind of it. That's all you really need. I think that the other reason that I'm making this video is not just to make things a little bit more transparent with you into what the game is like, but also just to give my advice on someone who's consulted with a lot of these big tutoring agencies and tutoring companies, kind of what goes on behind the scenes and how they treat you as client or a customer, and the shady doings that are happening there. I think it'll be no surprise to say that private tutoring has kind of gone out of fashion these days, and most people are really going towards these giant companies. And Pareto's principle, the idea that 80% of clients or 80% of things can be done by 20% of people, right? The 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle. Same thing applies in tutoring, where 80% of the students go to 20% of the tutoring companies. However, these tutoring companies, the top 20% tutoring companies, are usually the ones that spend most of their income into marketing rather than their students. They're the ones that have these giant group classes, and they charge a ridiculous amount of money per hour. I know that there's a bunch of tutoring companies that charge 45 bucks an hour for a group class with over 5, 6 kids in it at a time. And people are just fine with that. And they have these giant lock-in contracts that go for a year, and you have to pay up front. And you'd be surprised. This is one of the most popular tutoring companies in Victoria right now. And it's ridiculous to me. It's mind-boggling to me because I have seen the students that go to them, and these students are usually not the most passionate. They're not the most engaged. They're the ones that don't really perform as good as what you're paying for. And it's very disappointing to me as an educator because you know that there's something weird going on. None of my classes have ever been 90 bucks for 2 hours or 45 bucks for an hour for a group class. God, no. Right? There's no way that's going to happen. And I never will want that to happen because that's just a ridiculous amount of money for a group class of all things. And I think that the real thing that irks me is the fact that these giant tutoring companies, they don't really do good litmus tests on the tutors they hire. Because majority of the time, these tutors that are running these giant sessions where a child's academic future is at stake, they're students as well. They're students that have maybe just graduated, like literally fresh out of high school. They have maybe one semester, if they're lucky, of university. And they're charging $45 an hour to get advice from this person. This is someone with no teaching experience that has dealt with zero students, that doesn't really understand the content outside of just a student perspective. Yet they're charging a ridiculous amount of money for what they're giving. And I think this is the thing that really irks me. That's the thing that really, sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that, but that's the thing that really gets me when I see these flyers, these advertisements, and consulting emails and things like that, because I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's very, very silly that there are people that target very particularly, they literally target the people that they want, because when you learn about advertising marketing, you learn in this modern day and age that you can target the ads to very specific people in age ranges and interests and things like that, in locations, and you can target it towards these people, and you can just constantly bombard them with advertisements until they break. That's the thing that gets me, because you're targeting these vulnerable students that don't really know anything and they don't really have any idea as to what a good tutor is. They just see, like, oh, this is a tutoring ad that I saw and it seems like this person has good scores. Let me sign up for a free session. Then you entice them with all these cool resources for the first lesson, only the first lesson. And then you tell them, hey, if you want more, lock in contract. If you want more lessons to boost your academics, lock in contract. All your friends are coming to us, so why don't you lock in contract? I think that's super malicious. I don't like that, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped consulting for a lot of these giant tutoring companies, because it's just a pain to have to deal with that. I remember there was this one conversation that I had with a founder of one of these companies where I was like, instead of doing these massive tutoring sessions with 17 students and 15 students, why don't you just have smaller group classes and actually help these kids learn and focus and tailor your attention to them? He looked me dead in the eyes and told me, because I don't make as much money. When I had that, I just couldn't fathom it, because you're dealing with someone's future. You're dealing with someone's academic future. There are parents that are foreigners and they don't know the syllabus in Australia. They don't know the syllabus in Melbourne. You have people who are trusting their child's education to you, and all you see is a paycheck. Okay, that's a red flag. I don't like that. So I'm very sick of this tutoring industry. I'm very sick of the way that most people do the whole tutoring game. And I'm just sick of seeing these very young people have these high egos and giving pieces of very terrible advice for students that just don't know better. And it's very painful to see. It's very, very painful to see. So I'm just sick and tired of it, which is one of the reasons I stopped consulting. I only really consult with a very select handful of companies that I think are actually doing really good work. And there's not that many of them. And there's not really too many of them. And the ones I do consult, I tell them about different methods and strategies they can use to help their kids learn better, because they actually really care about their students, and it's good to see. But a lot of these big name companies, they don't even know who you are. You're just student number 7782, yearly installment 7766, and yearly installment of 11287. You mean nothing to them other than a paycheck, and it's painful. It's super, super painful to see. It's disheartening to see, and I don't like seeing it. So I think that is the main difference between kind of the vision that I see, because whenever I teach students, it isn't like I never looked at someone as a paycheck in the last 5 years I've been teaching. I've never thought of someone as just someone to pay my bills, because yes, albeit I do need the money. I love tutoring, and if it didn't give me any money, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it as long as I have. But I would be doing it for free in this day and age. I've made a good amount of money from teaching, and if I spend wisely, I can allocate funds in that. But I would be doing it for free if I had the choice to. And I've worked with a bunch of tutors. I've hired a bunch of tutors, and the best ones that I've ever had and the best students that I've ever had are the ones that would want to teach for free. And that's the goal. That's what I want to do. I want the world to see that learning can be fun. It doesn't have to be this grudge. It doesn't have to be this slog of things. It can be enjoyable. It can be fun. But I just think that with this day and age, it's very, very hard. It's very, very hard to do that. I was, doom scrolling on Instagram the other day for a little bit of time because um, I don't know. I was just lazy. I was just lazy. I was like, can I really be bothered editing a video? Not really. Can I really be bothered making notes and stuff? Not really. Can I be bothered replying to my emails? Not really. It's one of those days. It's like I've been working hard enough for the week. I need a time to break. I need time to have a break. I'm not productive 24 hours of the day, unfortunately. I wish I was, but I'm not. So I was doom scrolling on Instagram for maybe about 20 minutes, or I mean, it felt like 5, but it was probably about 20 minutes. And I was doom scrolling, and I come up with like 7 different ads when I'm scrolling for tutoring companies, and there's so many of them, and they all kind of go around the same premises of we'll get you your dream scores and all that kind of stuff, and they're all really pushing out this garbage content. They're all pushing out this idea of excellence, and they make the idea of excellence seem normal. They make the idea of getting a roll 40 seem like it's expected. And I think that's super, super harmful because being in a top 40 student role means you're in the top 10%, right? It means you're in the top 10%. It's very difficult to do that. You need to be working at the level of the top 10%. That's very hard to do in anything. But these tutoring companies just make it sound like it's something that's to be expected. And they give these young people who have never done a VC subject the idea that getting a 40 and anything below that is not good. Right? The idea that getting a 40 is expected, and it doesn't mean you're in the top 10%. It just means that you are average. No, it doesn't. Right? Getting a 40 is a good score. It's a great score. Right? It's a really, really good score. And another reason why I'm making this video is because I had year 12s that have come to me, or not, year 11, sorry, that have come to me after they did a 3-4 subject, whether it was biology or psychology, a subject I don't teach because I don't teach those subjects. And they come up to me and they've gotten tutoring from other people and they say, oh, I got a 38 and I'm really sad about that. And I'm like super out of it and I don't know what to do anymore. And they're depressed. They're really depressed. And I had to break it down for them, saying that 38 isn't a bad score. Like 38 is objectively a great score for a lot of people. What work were you actually doing to do that? And then they tell me the work they were doing. They tell me how they prepared to get this 38, which is all great advice from very generic tutoring companies. And I tell them, like, oh, did you do this after you did an exam paper? Oh, did you do this when you got a question wrong? Did you do this? Did you do that? And they go, no, no, no. And I just think to myself, you're paying double the price that I'm charging, yet you're getting half the quality of advice? That doesn't make sense. And what was really sad was that they were defending the tutor. They were defending their tutor because you build this relationship with the person that you've been learning from for the last year and a bit, and you go, like, oh, and they couldn't have done me wrong because you've had this year of bonding time, right? And it's super sad because it's very hard to objectively look at something and go, maybe that wasn't the best fit for me. And it takes a really long time to break down the bond, the attachment from a tutor with their crappy techniques or not the most optimal techniques, because they have that bond and it's really hard to break that and go, here, let's look at it objectively. Like, I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking these strategies. I'm just saying that if they didn't tell you this, that's a bit of a red flag and you should probably have thought about this instead. And I teach them how to think. And I think that the reason why all this bad advice is being projected, why so many students are unbelievably depressed and don't want to do anything in school, is because you have these giant tutoring companies that just want to get a quick buck, that just see you as a paycheck, that get really upset when you don't pay them. And I think that that is why students are struggling. I think that is why you are getting students that when they get a great ATAR, they're depressed. And I understand that goals and aspirations are something that you should always aspire towards. And with this current media culture of always being on the grind and never accepting anything other than excellency, it's projected that you should always go and aim high. But I think the thing that a lot of people forget is you have to keep in mind where you started. You have to keep in mind where you were a year ago. I'll tell you a story. I had a method student. He got a 40 roll this year, which doesn't sound too impressive for a lot of people, but for me that was really impressive because a year ago this student failed their math test. Literally, like the year before, they failed an entire topic in 1-2 methods. I think it was calculus or maybe it was circular functions, but they failed that test. They got a 48 or something. And that broke them because they did all this work and they felt like they were understanding the topic and things, and they didn't get a good score. And it broke them. It really hurt. And they didn't know what to do. And they came to me lost and they were like, I did all these things. What could I have done better? And they were very, very close to crying. They were very, very distraught. And I had to sit them down and I had to say, hey, this doesn't represent you. This just represents the point where you're at now. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind. And you know the story I told him? I said, in a year from now, you're going to sit your year 12 exam. And this is going to be roughly the day where you get your results back. In a couple months, you're going to get your results back after this. I want you to think about this moment and remember this moment of you failing this test. And think back, hey, a year ago I failed my calculus test. And imagine that you got a really good study score, whatever that is for you. This is progress. This is great. Next year, I'm going to try harder. Next year, I'm going to do better. When you change the perception of success to not just be a ranking, to be growth, to be actual growth and progress, that's when you become satisfied with the steps you're taking. I think that most tutoring companies, they just, when you get a student that gets a bad score, they just push like, oh, you got to work harder next year. This is where you are now. And they just push the idea of you got to work harder. And it just hurts. It really hurts. Because what you're doing is you're making kids not enjoy the learning process. And then they get into university and then they struggle. And then they don't know what to do because there's no tutors in university. They can't just be spoon fed the information anymore. They don't know how to think. They've never been told how to think before. And you get kids that struggle. They really struggle and they don't know what to do. And it just hurts. It really hurts. It really hurts. The other thing I'm really sick of is the fact that social media has become just so marketable. Everyone's just trying to make profit off of you. You're not a person to them. You're just a paycheck. Same idea in tutoring, because that's what people see these days. It's not like they want you to actually succeed. They want you to just be a paycheck for them. They want you to buy their course for $5.99 and keep in mind that it's at a discount from $3,000 and this price will never be happening again. So you better book in now. That's the projection that people do, and that's the ideas that people have, and it's very, very hard to no longer feel a sense of fear whenever you see an influencer, because you're just waiting for them to go, where's that course? Where's that link in the description? The reason I'm doing this is because I want to help people that actually are looking for this information. I want to be the guy that they go to learn things and actually learn things. For me and you to grow as human beings. This is for me and you to progress with each other. This is for me to learn a new skill, to be able to communicate more effectively and project my ideas. My goal is more than just making money. It's more than just creating an organization that has a giant amount of net profit. It's baffling to me how many people actually go in with this ego when they're making content, and they just think it's going to be the easiest thing to spout on a microphone and spout at a camera and just create a channel that blows up and things like that. I don't want to make this me and you. I don't want to ruin the relationship that I have with this industry and this entire thing with just yelling at things and yelling at camera and having to make this a job. I really don't want to make YouTube a job or social media things a job because that sounds so lame to me. That sounds so unbelievably like, oh, what do you do for work? Oh, I record myself and I edit it on a computer and I upload it to the internet and people listen to me speak. Sounds very lame right now. Anyway, it sounds very lame right now to me. And every time I edit a video and things, I just feel like I've done no work in a day. Like I can never say that this is work for me, you know, because it just doesn't feel like work. Whenever I think work, I think like actual manual labor. Whenever I'm on a computer and typing away, I don't think of it as work. It doesn't feel like work to me. This whole thing isn't work. I'm just talking into a microphone. I am literally as comfortable as I can be in my own house, in my lovely chair with my desk. I can have a cup of coffee with me or a hot chocolate or things, and I can literally take as many breaks as I want. This doesn't feel like work to me, right? Even when I'm teaching, I've done days where I wake up at 7 a.m. and I start tutoring students and I go to bed at 12 midnight, right? Because I'm just teaching all the way throughout the day. I've done those days, and even that doesn't feel like work to me. So I don't want this to feel like it's a thing that I have to do, but I want to do it. I want to give you as much value as I can. That's the whole point of this channel. And as long as there's one human being that watches these videos, that actually listens to what I'm saying, I will keep doing this. I don't see you as just an audience on a camera. I don't see any single view that I get as just a number. I see you as a person in a hall. And so when a video gets 50 views, that's 50 people that are listening to me speak. When a video gets 100 views, that's 100 people that are listening to me speak. You know, if a video gets 200 views, that's 200 people in a hall listening to me speak. How cool is that? I find that insanely fun. I find that really satisfying because it means that people are paying attention to what I say, and I will do it as long as there is at least one person that gets value out of it, and that person is you. I want you to be able to go away from these videos and change the way you view things. I don't want you to just come in here for a quick fix and be on your way. I want you to actually listen. I want you to learn. I want you to grow. I want you to progress. And when you no longer need me anymore, that's fine. You can throw me out. I'll still be here because I want someone else to help. As long as I find this fun anyway, and I'm probably gonna find it fun for a while. This is something I've been debating on doing for a while. I've been debating on doing this for years, right? And I had to really iron out the pros and cons about this because I know that this can go super viral. I know I can make a very big like group of people to listen to what I'm saying because the way I think is very different to what the flow of the world is right now. And I know that's very egotistical of me, and I'm aware that's very egocentric of me as a young guy, right? Let me have this one, okay? Let me be testosterone filled and have this ego for now. But I think that the ideas I have are usually ideas that allow people to change their perspective on things. And this has happened to a bunch of friends who have been doing businesses and things. This happened to a bunch of friends who have made very big life decisions that have completely changed the trajectory of their world. And this has happened to a lot of my students as well. I've had a lot of students that come to me for X, Y, and Z, for like math tutoring or English tutoring or chemistry tutoring, and they leave with a little bit more. They leave with an idea for a business because of the way they started to think. They leave with more motivation than they know what to do with. They leave with new perspectives on things. And that's when I realized, like, hey, the costs of this interaction between me and you right now is greatly outweighed by the benefits. It's insanely outweighed by the benefits. And I think that that is something that I need to be able to be comfortable with. You know, I want someone to watch this video and change their life. And I know it's very audacious of me to say that, but I want that for someone. And I want to be able to see that growth. And I want to be able to know that I've helped that person with that growth in some way, shape, or form. Because I remember when I was depressed as hell I would watch videos like this. I would create a routine of watching content like this whenever I was down in the dumps, and it helped me get out of it. It helped me get out of ruts. And I don't want it to just be some sappy motivational stuff, but I genuinely want you to succeed in life, and I want you to flourish and grow. And the way I do that is by helping you realize that learning can be fun, and that it's not hard to actually learn new skills. It's not hard to put yourself out there and go outside of your comfort zone and things like that. So that's why I'm doing this, to be able to show people that it is possible, that you don't have to, that it's possible to grow even with very limiting resources and things like that. And the way I do that is just through the camera. So yeah, that is really it. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Yeah. I think this is not going to be a consistent thing on the channel because obviously it's very niche. It's just you and me talking. You know, this might just be a once in a month thing where I give you little updates on what's going on in my brain and what I think is going on in the world and things like that. And hopefully you'll be able to learn a little bit more about me through that as well, and kind of learn about my hobbies and things like that, and gain something out of it as well. Learn from my mistakes and learn from the stories I tell you, because trust me when I say I have a lot of crazy stories that are very, very interesting for students that are feeling a little bit lost. And you know, it might be fun for you guys to see my growth as well, and I want to document that, and I want to be able to look back on these videos one day and say I'm proud of how I've grown as a human being, and think, damn, I was a really cringy 22-year-old or 21-year-old or however old I am. I'm old. You know, and I want to be able to think back and go, yeah, I called that. I called that trend happening. I saw that trajectory, and I want to be able to look back and view those things with a fun smile on my face. Um, this is something that I've been super, super scared of, to be honest. This whole YouTube thing, something I've been petrified of. I've been debating it for years, and I've done cost benefit analysis for it for a very long time. Like, you would not believe how many cost benefit analysis tables I've drawn up for YouTube. Been insane. But this year I finally decided to take the plunge, and I decided, hey, I'm just gonna put myself out there and see what happens. And you know, if it works, it works. My idea was that as long as I get one person listening, I'm making it for you. And that's kind of all there is to it. So thank you very much for watching this little ramble. We might change it up a little bit later. I still don't know what to call it. Maybe it's a series. I don't know. We'll see. I might make a second channel for this kind of stuff because it's very separated and segregated from the other content that I'm planning on making. Not that I've made much yet, but I'm learning. I'm learning. Okay, I'm learning how to make content. It's a slow slog. All right, it's a new skill for me. I'm learning slowly. But yeah, I want to learn how to actually make content that's engaging and write scripts and edit videos and learn how to use a camera and things like that. But it's a slow process because I'm just one dude. Right? I'm not someone that has a whole team of people helping me with this. This is something that I want to do as a passion project. So yeah, it's something that I want to do, and I'm just glad that you can be here for the journey, and I want to be able to look back on this and enjoy it. So that's it. That's the video. Don't like, don't comment, don't sub. Log off, do something else now. See ya.